Steve Pachenik, and this is Steve Talks. Hi, I'm Dr. Pachenik. Let's get to the basic concern. Everybody's worried that there's going to be war and we will have a nuclear war and that the Russians will retaliate because we sent over 100 missiles into Syria and supposedly to take out the Syrian chemical capability. Let me be very frank. I don't think any of that will occur. Number one, I think this is what we call in the military and the intelligence world signaling. What Trump was doing, or General Mattis was doing, Secretary of Defense Mattis, was to signal in not to Assad, not even to the Russians, but really to North Korea and Kim Jong-un and to others where there's an impending negotiations that President Trump and Mattis have definite resolve that if needed be, there would be consequences if a negotiation did not occur. Now, it's ironic that I say I'm talking about North Korea, but because the issue right now is in Syria, we have understood that before it was a false flag, and Trump knows that and Mattis knows that. But if you follow the art of the deal by Trump, number one, Trump had to cover its downside. The downside in attacking or not attacking Syria was the fact that Obama had walked away. He couldn't do that. Number two, Mattis is a very judicious stoic who follows the words of Marcus Aurelius. In his mind, action is the most elaborate statement you can make. In other words, you get to the point by getting the action involved. Number three, the Syrians, the Russians, the Iranians were all forewarned and all were part of what I call this kabuki of signaling. Why do I say that? Because in the past, I've been involved with this kind of attacks and also embargoes and counterterrorism in issues which have to do with crisis management. Sometimes it doesn't seem to follow a logic where an initial attack occurs, then one expects a retaliation. Not in this case. The reason it's not going to occur in this case is that Putin was informed. He knew what he had to do. He knew he had to cover Trump's downside. At the same time, Bashar Assad understood it. He knew that very few people, if any, would be harmed. And number three, the Iranians understood this because they were involved in a coalition which wants to maintain stability in the Middle East. They're the last ones in the world to want to destabilize the Middle East. Israel is another issue, but I must admit that Israel held back and did nothing about it after they had come into the original false flag. Now, why do I say this? Number one, the art of the deal says think big. That's the way Trump does. Number two, cover your downside. The downside was Obama's past action. The downside is if he did nothing, he would look weak. The downside was also that he could not allow the words or the issue of chemical warfare be out there without having seemed to do something about it. The third thing he did was to elaborate on the notion of the heart of the chemical system, and that was General Mattis's genius as well as Trump's genius. The heart means, and in quotation mark, means that it's a very limited attack, literally going to the three same places that supposedly the attack occurred several years ago. So this was a limited reaction to a limited statement where no one was injured. There will be no counterattack. Now, what else did Trump do? Basically, Trump says, look, if you want to make a deal, you can't be consistent. Number two, you have to embolden it with lies and confusion. That's where the press and the American people do not understand what Trump is doing. It's not that he's erratic or that he's bizarre. It's that the art of the deal makes it very clear. Never be predictable in what you're going to do. He's not only worried today about Syria, Iran, or anybody else. He's concerned about the negotiations that are far more important in North Korea and shows North Korea this is what he's capable of doing if there isn't a successful outcome. I believe there will be a successful outcome in North Korea, and I believe what General Mattis has always said, be polite, be kind, be professional, and kill anyone who you need to. Thank you, and good luck, and good night. Hi, this is Dr. Steve Pachenik, and this is Steve Talks.